Not yet?
Wait.
We have a good
What time do you have?
Estimated time, we have an estimated time of arrival.
I don't know. No idea. Waiting. Everybody's waiting.
Where is he? Does he need someone special?
I don't know. If there was bilateral, I would have you there.
Yeah.
Что я вас видела, да? Что я вас видела. Юр, скинешь мне текстурки на мои глаза?
I wish I could speak Russian.
Я вас запомнила, как
Надо запомнить.
ну, пусть не досветит.
Oh, I hear a door.
It's expiring tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like I've seen badges
Yeah,
expiring
you have
tomorrow.
to go, huh?
It's time.
That would mean they have to go all the way around.
I see. You want us to leave.
It's the useful advice
Oh,
that
no, we
we give.
don't.
No, we want you to come back, that's why.
Yeah.
I just got one.
Me too.
Is there receipt? Oh, I haven't gotten mine. Does it close at noon?
No.
I don't know.
No, 9 to 4. Without any interruption. It took
Oh,
5 minutes.
I thought you were.
And I had that face. Yeah, I went to. It was a bit of a line, but. 15 minutes.
I went the day before yesterday. I went 4 o'clock.
But they were having trouble with the machine.
Oh,
It was slow.
You're right. Not yet.
Someone else knocking.
Knocking on that door.
It's not a big team.
Yeah. Or the big SUV. So how do we get a question?
Why are you having front row seat then? Get to the back.
Well, it's better in the back. It's better in the bottom. You never know. I just don't know. There's a little book from Mount Vernon. So you got the wearing black.
Floor, floor, floor. This is the floor. Okay.
I'm hearing Laura in English.
You're preparing your post.
Was there anything in Corrigan's speech on counterterror? Thank you.
But you can do that.
Yeah, at the mall.
Yeah.
But not on the street.
No, well, I just downloaded it and didn't ask me. This is what it is, Blair, it's called double take. Ron told me about it. Yeah. I don't know, I guess
Maybe 3 times?
yeah. Oh. Yeah, Yvonne told me about it. At his daycare. You can give them, and so asking a question. Yeah. And what is
Yes.
So wait, so the pizzas?
No, I think they changed it. It used to be
So what is it?
you can basically control your iPhone cameraman.
No reason, just
It's 149 a week.
Wow.
Really? They changed their business model. I got it. When I got it, I just need to log iPhone. So I use it.
Yearly, 1999.
So they changed the subscription.
It's a rock double take on it. The director, I don't know what it
That's
is.
basically all of it.
It's more professional. It's not 16.99. Creator, I don't know what it is.
You know his mic is on, I guess. But make sure you put it back. Don't forget to put it back on. Oh, it went on again.
It's been controlled by the. They can switch on, switch off.
Is that an American flag?
I associated with that conviction. It's interesting that you said that. But it does kind of like,
Yeah, it's the red stripes. It's blue instead of white stripes.
I wanted that. This one is from
Very patriotic. And it's South African. It wasn't intentional.
People do recognize it. But even at immigration, when that comes up, people at immigration.
Oh, I love it.
I was here, or when I was here, why am I here? It's Netflix.
I saw it.
From Detroit. There are other ones that are. Tears were rolling.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
Unbelievable.
I haven't been it before.
Oh,
Just try it again. Well, remember, he was in between being, anchor of his show to stand up and ask. Oh, that was, oh my God.
I just,
No, but
the French, they don't help you.
yeah, right.
And they say, no, you're not going to buy that. What do you think?
And then he was talking about
No,
America.
you're not allowed, you're XL. It was so funny.
I'll check that out.
I'm fed up now.
Theoretically, there's a new breaking news.
Yes,
The inside scoop.
why are you
30
so
minutes
late?
later, that would be important to tell us everything.
Exactly. Who did you meet?
Give it as a joke, I think it's a nice way to start.
Yeah, most of it is important.
That's really important, yeah.
Yeah.
What were their names? How tall were they? And
Yes. And what did we discuss? Oh, yeah.
responsibly so good.
Just don't be me.
Good afternoon, and we will start the press conference of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russian Federation, Mr. Lavrov, with the question, and please, United Nations Correspondent Association, take the floor. Please.
Добрый день. Я приветствую всех, кто продолжает проявлять интерес к российской внешней политике, к нашей работе в Организации Объединенных Наций. Мы хотели начать сразу с вопросов и ответов. Опять сюрприз, что я по-русски говорю, да? Хотели начать с вопросов и ответов, но я вынужден начать с очередного факта использования киевским режимом террористических методов. Утром.
The Kiev regime on the morning of the January 24th Moscow time. A terrorist attack was conducted. As a result, in the Belgorod region, a Russian transport aircraft Il-76 was downed. It was supposed to transport from the Moscow region to Belgorod of 65 military servicemen of the armed forces of Ukraine. They were accompanied by 3 Russian officers and the crew of 6 people. All of them died. The Ukrainian prisoners of war were transported to the Belgorod region in order to conduct yet another swap that was agreed between Moscow and Kiev. Instead of this, the Ukrainian side launched an air defense missile from the Kharkov region. It targeted the airplane and was a fatal strike. We've asked for an emergency session of the Security Council at 3 p.m. New York time. And we really expect that the French chairmanship will do their will execute their mandate bona fide and will schedule this as soon as possible. We do not want to repeat the situation of April 2022, when after the staging of Bucha, where the bodies of people were shown and we still cannot get their names, after that staged action, the British chairmanship that was at the helm of the Security Council in April denied calling such a session for 72 hours. I hope that our French colleague will not follow the same path and will call an emergency session as we have asked today at 3 p.m.
Mr. Foreign Minister, for this press conference on behalf of the UN Correspondent Association, Valeria Robeco from Ansa Newswire. My question is on the Middle East. Most of the world agrees that the two-state solution is the only way forward for the peace between Israeli and Palestinians. In your conversation here in New York, did you have the idea that there is a chance for a concerted effort between all parties, Israel included, on the two-state solution, and in what time frame could such discussions be started? And which options are on the table if Premier Netanyahu continues to oppose to this possibility? Thank you so much.
Yesterday there was a thorough discussion at the UN Security Council. I think there is continued session and more than 70 delegates are to speak there. There is no other way than to deliver on the decision of the Security Council and General Assembly on the creation of the Palestinian state, as well as the principles that were endorsed by everyone back in the day. I mean the borders of 1967 with a capital in East Jerusalem, as well as ensuring the viability of the Palestinian state that could safely and securely coexist peacefully with Israel and the rest of other regional nations. If, yet again, after such a task was first formulated back at the end of the 1940s, and for many decades, this task, this obligation to create the Palestinian state, has been dragged out with words and was trying to bury it in half-hearted initiatives. If that situation repeats again, we'll reap the fruit of yet another conflict, yet another explosion of violence. And I think that the majority of the UN members understand that. I've met with many Arab countries. I've just had a big meeting with all the permanent ambassadors, representatives of the Organization for Islamic Cooperation. They're very resolute in their intention that an official decision should be made about the creation of the Palestinian state. And negotiations should start, that should be accompanied by neutral and effective mediators. Unfortunately, the Middle Eastern Quartet exists no longer. The United States have done everything in their power to thwart its efforts, saying that they'll do it single-handedly, the mediation. I mean, what it led to, we all know fully well. And naturally be very resolute for the initiative in creating such a mediation mechanism that would prepare, ideally, an international conference on the Palestinian issue. Such initiative should be taken on by the regional countries, first and foremost the League of Arab States representatives. Well, the first step, I've spoken about that yesterday, and today we spoke about it with the Islamic Cooperation Organization representatives. It seems absolutely necessary to make an effort to rebuild the Palestinian unity for all Palestinian factions and all those who are working with them from abroad, for them to get together and to rebuild, to announce the rebuilding of the unity of the Palestinian unity as an important foundation for the future Palestinian states. Without that, all mechanisms that you have mentioned that have been discussed in the back rooms, they won't be viable. They would only be aimed at creating a seeming change in the Gaza Strip without unification with the Western Bank. Without that, bringing back together the disunited Palestinian side, broken apart, they'll be just trying to spend time. And naturally, we're very worried about the statement by the Israeli PM that they're not talking about creating the Palestinian state. Since that, in any case, the settlement is possible only through the process of negotiations, we expect that those who have an influence on the Israeli side, more influence than we have, for example, they will deliver on their function and ensure participation of Israel in good faith in the negotiation process, and we'll try to achieve that. Tas, please. Good afternoon, Minister. I have two questions for you. Going back to the terrible situation with Il-76, what do you think? Did Kiev do that deliberately? What were the goals of Ukraine when they conducted such terrorist attacks and actions? Second question is about the situation in the Middle East. Many journalists trying to find answers. How could this happen? Was it possible that the U.S. did not know about the prepared attack by Hamas, since it was prepared for a year and with heavy weapons? that we've seen. Indeed, we spoke a lot about, with all of my counterparts and in Moscow as well, when the greater delegation of the League of Arab States and Organization for Islamic Cooperation traveled there, when we were discussing the way it all exploded. You probably remember, 2 weeks before the 7th of October, Jake Sullivan gave an interview and said that the situation in the Middle East has never been so peaceful and calm for the last 20 years. Such words were said. In regard to whether the U.S. side knew about it, whether they had any signals about it, there are a lot of conspiracy theories, and you possibly remember the terrorist attack that we have condemned within Israel. There was a lot of talk saying that the Israeli special services and intelligence services did know about it. They couldn't help but know it. And there were conversations that the United States, that were following through satellites every corner of the world, and especially they were closely following the Middle Eastern region. They couldn't help but notice the movement of a tremendous amount of people, equipment, drones. They were being prepared to conduct the terrorist attack. I hear the same thing that you're hearing. Such discussions become public, but we've seen no proof, and I wouldn't want to speculate about whether that is true or not.
Welcome back. Sherwin Briceby, South African Broadcasting. What is Russia's position in regards to South Africa's case at the International Court of Justice, accusing Israel of acts of genocide in this war in Gaza?
And naturally be very resolute for the initiative in creating such a mediation mechanism that would prepare, ideally, an international conference on the Palestinian issue. Such initiative should be taken on by the regional countries, first and foremost the League of Arab States. And naturally be very resolute for the initiative in creating such a mediation mechanism that would prepare, ideally, an international conference on the Palestinian issue. Such initiative should be taken on by the regional countries, first and foremost the League of Arab States. And naturally be very resolute for the initiative in creating such a mediation mechanism that would prepare, ideally, an international conference on the Palestinian issue. Such initiative should be taken on by the regional countries, first and foremost the League of Arab States. And naturally be very resolute for the initiative in creating such a mediation mechanism that would prepare, ideally, an international conference on the Palestinian issue. Such initiative should be taken on by the regional countries, first and foremost the League of Arab States. And naturally be very resolute for the initiative in creating such a mediation mechanism that would
prepare, ideally, an international conference on the Palestinian issue. Such initiative should be taken on by the regional countries, first and foremost the League of Arab States. And naturally be very resolute for the initiative in creating such a mediation mechanism.